Hi, I'm Will.
And I'm Florence.
And we're here with a new video section called Your Questions, in which we here in At-Bristol answer your questions.
Indeed, and our first question comes from Jason, who's 41 and from Liverpool. And Jason asks us that age-old question of, if a tree falls in the wood and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Well, it depends, to my mind, what you think of as being sound. Like, you can reasonably expect that a tree is going to fall down, doing so will make vibrations, the vibrations carry through the air, making the physical sensation that if someone was there to hear it would be sound. But it requires an observer, and a lot of science is observations. The idea of there being a sound is very much dependent on how you classify that sound. Is it an experience, or is it the actual activity that someone has to be there to experience?
When it's traveling as a vibration, it's just like a shockwave going through the air. To be a sound, it needs to hit an eardrum.
If a sound is made that you can't hear, is it a sound?
If those shockwaves are able to be heard by something, then it surely is a sound. Sound is just the movement of air, which is like a shockwave, and it only becomes a sound if something hears it. If that shockwave is of a frequency that nothing is able to actually perceive it as a sound, it's not a sound.
I don't know how high-pitched something has to be completely inaudible to all species, because it seems like there are lots of things.
Sure, like bats can hear incredibly high, but
I think if this is a question that people haven't had a satisfactory answer to for the last couple of 100 years, nailing it down here and now would be an achievement, but I'm willing to say,
we've done our best.
Our next question comes from Rachel Shannon via comments on our YouTube page of why do people get squeamish? This is something that I personally like to know, because I can get real on edge about certain things.
Yeah, like what?
It's friction, things grating against each other, like nails down a chalkboard, really.
Well, that's an interesting one. I think generally when we talk about squeamishness, we're talking more about like an aversion or a repulsion to like blood or guts or like insects.
Gut reaction.
Stuff like that. It's a strange kind of phobia, because most phobias, your heart rate increases. But
right.
when you're squeamish, what actually happens is that your heart rate drops, your blood pressure drops, the blood kind of goes down to your feet and you get really lightheaded and you can faint. And interestingly, it's actually quite heritable. So you're much more likely to inherit squeamishness than you are, say, a fear of small spaces or of heights. It's genetic, so that suggests that if you inherit something from your parents, it's probably going to give you an advantage. So the question is, what could the advantage of being squeamish be?
Presumably not being around gross stuff.
Absolutely, that's definitely one theory. Another is if you're bleeding and your blood pressure drops, you're not going to lose as much blood.
True.
When you're forming more communities, you're living in like closer proximity to each other, which means that it's more possible to that diseases are going to spread. If you see a neighbour bleeding and they've gone a bit gangrenous and it's looking a bit gross and you stay well away, then you're going to be at a slight less risk of catching a disease.
Yeah, self-preservation there.
Exactly, yeah. Likewise, if you're, say, scavenging or you're going into your food stores and you find your bit of leftover ox or whatever and it's looking a bit green.
Can't get rid of the ox.
No, always got a surplus of ox in my larder. If it's looking a bit green and it's full of maggots and stuff, and that makes you, really repulsed, then you're not going to risk touching it, which is definitely going to be a good idea. But the good news is that, like most phobias, you can get over being phobic of blood and stuff like that by exposing yourself to it. So if you have a burning desire to be a doctor or a nurse, whatever, don't let it put you off, because you can get over it if you just keep trying. If
you have any aversions of your own, any things that really set your teeth on edge, then let us know.
Woo!
So I have 5 cards
here
for you guys to choose from. You can pick any of them that you want, and you've got to answer that question.
Oh dear, here we go. Why are some people colourblind? From Toby, aged 10.
I was actually reading about this recently. There's different kinds of colorblindness. Some people have just color desensitivity. A lot of what we call colorblindness is you just can't make out reds and greens particularly well, and that's a heritable trait, a lot like the heritable part of squeamishness. A certain part of your genetic code which enables the cells in your eyes to detect certain wavelengths of light, because you have 2 kinds of cells. Cone cells for color, rod cells for black and white. And if you just lose a little part of the DNA, the genetic instruction for how to make the cone cells, and suddenly red and greens become muted with browns and greys. But there is also a small island somewhere in the middle of the Pacific where about 10% of people there are completely colorblind. They only see in black and white.
Wow.
It's really painful for them to go out in the day because everything just feels so washed out and bright, but they have an advantage when it comes to nighttime, and most of the people with it are night fishers. They go out and fish in the night, especially for flying fish.
So in our society, why are we still getting colourblindness? Is it because it's not that much of a disadvantage, so it's not getting selected out?
Well, there's not so much of a pressure against it. I remember my mum telling me once that she went to university with someone who wore these bright, lurid suits like pinks and greens and really sharp angles, sharp colours. And it wasn't until second year of university they're doing colourblind tests. And they realised, oh, I'm colourblind. Like, yeah, didn't you know? Because you pick out all these colourful suits. He thought he was wearing just drab, brown and grey and just kind of like blending in.
Well, I hope our answers have been somewhat illuminating here. If you have anything to add, please do drop us a line in the comments section, and please keep your questions coming. We would love to get our teeth stuck into a few more from you.
Yeah, and make sure you subscribe for more content in the future, and if you have a look somewhere over here, you'll find our most recent videos, and we'd love to hear more from you about those ideas too. Until next time, thanks for watching.
See you guys.
My aversion to strong cheeses these days is based around my granddad chasing me and my brother around, making us try and eat blue cheese.
You're missing out. Blue cheese is amazing.